Okay, it's 6 o'clock. 6 p.m., I'm gonna open the Planning Commission meeting for July 23rd, 2019. All stand and we'll salute the flag of this country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay. Is there any adjustments to the agenda?
There is not. Do you want me to do roll call before you continue?
Well, why mix it up? Why would you want me to do it right?
Just helping you out.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Barr.
Here.
Commissioner Smith. Absent. Vice Chairman St. Martin. Absent. Chairman Tinker.
Present. Okay, so now am I back in sequence?
Yes, you are.
I just like the pledge better, you know. Okay, do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
No.
Okay, none there. Do we have any conflict of interest disclosures?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to state?
Yes, sir.
Item 2 for the public hearing on the daycare facility. I do live within 1,000 feet of the applicant's home and would have to recuse myself. I also sit on the board of the Sundance HOA. Thank you. Would you like me to leave the room?
No, we're not got there yet.
Oh, okay.
We could do anything anyways with just two of us.
Well, we'll continue that till the next meeting, but now we're going to go to item number 1, approval of the minutes from the June 25th, 2019 meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes as stated.
Second?
I have a first and a second to approve the minutes of the June 25th, 2019 meeting.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
Commissioner Barr.
Yes.
Chairman Tinker.
Yes. Okay, item number 2, this is where you get to go
Take a break.
to the nursery. Conduct a public hearing considering a conditional use permit 2019-0035 large family daycare at 1349 Quinn Street. As the commissioner has a conflict here, we will not be voting on that tonight. It will be extended till the next planning commission meeting. And so that will be
August 13th?
will be continued to August 13th meeting. Okay.
Chairman, since we did notice for the public hearing, I just want to make sure there isn't anybody here that wants to speak on that item. And if not, we'll just continue it.
Should I ask?
Sure.
Okay, obviously we noticed for this, so I will open the public hearing at 6:05 regarding the large family daycare at 1349 Quinn Street. If there's anyone here that has any comments or any concerns about it, please feel free to step forward. As I said, this item will be continued until next month, but you have an opportunity to say whatever you got to say. Yes, sir.
My name's Scott Stover. I live within 300 feet of the proposed large daycare. I just didn't get enough information in the flyer that was sent out to all the residents, and I just had a few questions on that bend of its streets. It's a blind corner coming around the corner right where that house is situated, literally at a T, and it gets pretty busy in there. And my concern would be how many children would it be licensed for, their ages. I've done my research. I've looked at the previous business down in Whittier, licensing in October of 18th, I think October of 18, and just read reviews on Yelp and stuff. And just for that particular street, I was the 4th house on the street. It literally comes like this. It's a blind corner, and people rip up and down there. So my concern would be safety, noise, and then the association. I'm not in any way, shape, or form with him, but I am a part of I'm a part of the HOA, but I belong to it because I live in the community. We have a rule against businesses within the community, anything displayed within the community. So I don't know how that conflicts, or if the Sundance the Sundance Homeowners Association has a vote in it, has a say in it. I had a need for more information, so I'll come back on the 13th and I'll listen.
Well, I think we should be able to provide some information tonight. First of all, large daycare family centers is not to exceed 12,
14.
not to exceed 14. The other thing that you're going to find, and your hands are tied just like ours are, that it's regulated by the state of California.
Right?
So we would be hard pressed to deny it, but we can provide conditions to address safety, those traffic, those type of issues. So you're talking about
Up to 14 children.
14 children. Like I said, the state regulates that, but we also can address the safety issues, traffic, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So we have your comments. Please, at the next meeting, please bring your comments back to you.
Okay.
Back here, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a side note, it's already been approved for 8.
I saw that, yeah, I was on, like I said, I did my research, I saw a license last fall,
In October.
so, in October, right? Mhm. Okay, thanks.
And we'll leave the public hearing open, just continue it to the next meeting.
You know, every time you do that, you mess me up, because then I lose track of where I'm at. Okay, we're going to leave that public hearing open. We're going to move that to the next meeting, which is in August
13.
13th. I'm going to write this down twice. Okay, then we're going to move to item number 3 on the agenda.
Grab Commissioner Steve.
Smith is better at knowing when to come back in.
Well, yeah, I guess we should holler. You can come back. Sorry about that.
Felt like I was in trouble.
See, we're so used to Nathan because he misses so many of these votes. Okay, item number 3, we're to conduct a public hearing or consider conditional use permit 2019-0036 for a tattoo studio, Roots Tattoo Studio, located at 275 East 6th Street. I'll ask staff.
Yes. So we received an application for a conditional use permit for a proposed tattoo studio on June 20th, 2019. The application was reviewed and processed, and we did place an ad in the Press Enterprise and notified property owners within 300 feet of this public hearing. Staff has not received any comments to date. The municipal code does allow tattoo parlors with an approved conditional use permit in the general commercial zone. And the property is zoned general commercial with a general plan designation of commercial general. And the surrounding properties also have the same zoning and general plan land use designations. The site is approximately 6,000 square feet, and it contains an existing building with 3 suites and a detached garage. Currently, Suite B is vacant. Suite C is occupied by the property owner just for a construction office, and the applicant is proposing to go into Suite A. The site is partially improved with a monolithic sidewalk, curb, and gutter on 6th Street, and then there's a 20-foot wide paved alley south of the subject property, and it provides access to the parking area that's located behind the building, which is south of Suite B and west of Suite A. Historically, parking has been accessed via 25-foot unimproved private parcel located to the west. Per the Beaumont Municipal Code, it does require that all parking spaces, maneuvering areas, turnarounds, and driveways be paved in accordance with city standards. It does also require that a signed parking agreement for the westerly property owner, and the agreement does need to meet the requirements of the code, which includes review by the city attorney and being recorded with the county. The project has been conditioned to comply with both of these requirements, which are conditions 16 and 17 in your staff report. The use does propose to operate Monday through Saturday between 12 to 8 p.m., and it includes 2 workstations. For the operations, typically there are appointments made, and they're made at least 6 weeks in advance. Typical session takes 3 to 4 hours. They are not proposing any piercing services or any kind of retail sales. Regarding the parking, our commercial code has 13 parking categories for commercial parking. This is kind of a unique use because there's only 2 stations and the length of time that the sessions are. We felt that it didn't really fall under any of those 13 categories, so the code does allow the community development director to make a determination that it's similar to another use. So based on the uses that were available, we felt that the cinema, theater parking requirements would be similar because it's people going for a long period of time. It does require 1 space per 3 seats. So in essence, this would require 1 parking space, but they are providing 4 spaces behind the building, 3 tandem spaces on the westerly side, and then there's also available street parking. The project is exempt from CEQA as a Class 1 existing facility, and the project does meet the conditional use permit findings, which are included in your staff report. So at this time, staff would like to recommend that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit subject to the proposed conditions of approval and direct staff to prepare a notice of exemption for the applicant to record with the county clerk.
So,
And also conduct the public hearing.
does staff have any questions? Okay, now I'm going to open up a public, I'm going to do this right now. Can I do it okay now? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:12 on conditional use permit 2019-0036. The public hearing is open. For those of you who have anything to say, please step forward and give us your name, address, and your comments. Or forever hold your peace. This is your opportunity to shine.
The applicants are here if you'd like to hear from them.
Sure, if the applicant's here, please step forward and tell us what you're going to do here. From what I'm looking at, it looks like you're pretty close to the barbecue place.
Yeah, basically right next door.
That's what I thought. So a guy can come in, get a tattoo and a little barbecue and,
Sure.
okay, I'm just checking. I want to make sure I didn't miss it.
So, well, between us, I think we have about 30 years in experience in tattooing. I've owned a shop in myself for about 10 years in Banning. So I just want to bring that experience back to town. I was gone myself out in Teokaipa for about 10 years working in that area. So we just wanted to come back home basically and bring what we've learned back home and to our families, and this is where we're from. So that's hence Roots Tattoo Studio. So other than that, we're just ready to do business, ready to start making money and make a nice business in town. So we're just trying to get all the process done.
If I understand, part of it was that you're going to be by appointment only.
That's correct. Yeah.
There being just virtually no walk-in traffic
That's
type
correct.
thing.
Yeah, that's how we've run it for quite a few years now, since we've had clientele, several weeks in advance. So there's no sense for a open studio flash on the wall type thing. It's basically private and appointment only.
Commissioners?
Are you both going to be the artists sitting at the
That's correct.
stations? So you're not like subletting it or
No.
renting a chair space?
Basically, general partnership.
Okay, I have no other comments? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:15 regarding 2019-0036. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've closed the public hearing. I will now entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the conditional use permit 2019-0036 as written.
I'll second.
We want to make sure we get conditions of approval from staff. Do we need to make sure we get that in there?
They're already included.
Okay, okay.
You're approving the use and the conditions along with it, which have been run through all the departments, including PD and fire.
Okay,
and
so we have a motion and a second to approve conditional use permit 2019-0036.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Chairman Tinker.
Yes. Okay, item number 4, we're going to conduct a public hearing and consider Plan 2019-0276 for an amendment to the Beaumont Crossroads Logistics Center sign program located at 1010 West 4th Street in the Rolling Hills Ranch Industrial Specific Plan. And I will open it up to staff.
Good evening, Chairman. This is an application to amend the original sign program that was approved by the Planning Commission on February 14, 2017. The Rolling Hills Ranch Industrial Specific Plan does not have sign regulations. It refers back to the Beaumont Municipal Code regarding sign regulations. And we do allow sign programs that can modify the sign size, height, illumination, spacing, orientation, or other non-communicative aspects, but not override or modify basic policies. As mentioned before, the project is located within the Rolling Hills Ranch Industrial Specific Plan. It has a general plan land use designation of industrial. The property to the south and the west is located within the County of Riverside. To the north is commercial general zoning with an urban village overlay general plan land use designation. And to the east is manufacturing zone property with an industrial designation. The overall specific plan area is approximately 155 acres, and it's located south of the freeway, 60 freeway, and north of 4th Street. And it currently is the site of the Wolverine building and the Amazon building, which is currently under construction. The proposed sign amendment is to accommodate signage mostly for the Amazon project. They are proposing 3 wall signs that are channel letters and are internally illuminated. 2 of those signs include the trademark Amazon name and smile and will be located on the north and south elevations of the building. Those 2 wall signs are 9 feet 10 inches in height, 32 feet 7 inches in width, and have an overall square footage of 320.4 square feet. So the municipal code allows 1 square foot per lineal foot up to 100 feet, and that no sign occupy more than 70% of the building. The building frontage for Amazon is 1,185 feet. So when you calc out the square foot or the area based on 1 lineal foot and what they're actually proposing 0.27 square feet per each lineal foot. The 3rd wall sign is just the trademark smile that goes over the entry. It's 2 feet 8.5 inches in height, 12 feet wide, and approximately 32.5 square feet. The amendment is also proposing 3 monument signs. 2 signs are for Amazon, and they're located at 4th and Distribution Way and Prosperity at the Central Drive. They are both double-sided signs. They're internally illuminated. They're 9 feet in height, which includes a 1-foot base. The overall width is 13 feet, and there are 88 square feet in size. These are basically wayfinding programs for Amazon for circulation. Both signs are set back 5 feet from the property line per code. And then the 3rd sign, monument sign, is at the northeast corner of 4th and Distribution Way. It is non-illuminated. It has a 2-foot base and an overall height of 6 feet 9 inches and a width of 22 feet. It is basically center identification, and the code actually limits monument signs to 30 square feet and 6 feet in height. Hence, that's why we're doing the sign program to modify those requirements. And then lastly, they're proposing a freeway sign that is 50 feet in overall height and includes a 10 feet concrete base. The base varies between 30 to 32 feet in width, and the sign width is 28 feet. It is set back 15 feet from the 60 freeway right-of-way and 110 feet from the 60 freeway. The applicant has provided photo simulations, which are included as part of your staff report. So staff would recommend that you open the public hearing and recommend that you approve Plan PLAN 20019-0276 which is a housekeeping item in the agenda. It's the incorrect number. So it'd be Plan 2019-0276, amending the Beaumont Crossroads Logistics Center sign program as presented. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. The applicant is also here as well.
No questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
We'll jump in there.
So looking at the map, the what is county versus the city of Beaumont, is there going to be another sign, and is that going to be in Beaumont? Is there one approved for directing traffic to go, for the truck traffic to be on that not 4th Street, on the new bridge?
Sure.
Potrero, thank you.
So I'll defer to the applicant's representative who's here this evening on that, but from the city's perspective, we don't allow off-site signage. So we would only permit what's within the city on property owned by the applicant or within the specific plan. So everything that you see here, if there's something that is that's approached with the county, that I would imagine the county would let us know and we'd have a chance to comment, or that the applicant would let us know. But to my knowledge, there's not anything like that would take place. But like we said, the applicant's here, so he may be able to answer that better than we can at this point.
Okay, and I do see that's not a functional driveway on the freeway sign, or what is that, that road by the freeway sign, the proposed sign?
Yeah, that is not a functional road.
No.
Okay,
It's
so
just like
that's
a pull off for access or.
right, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The only question I have, and I'm looking at this, is one of the concerns that we had when we approved the Amazon was that it did not overshadow Wolverine. You know, that was a real concern. Remember, that's why we required Amazon to be, so that they didn't overshadow Wolverine. Now, will this signing program overshadow anything with Wolverine?
No, the sign will not overshadow anything with Wolverine. Wolverine will actually have signage on there, and if you'd like us to put the exhibit up on there, it might, if you choose, but it is so far from the building
Okay.
themselves that it won't.
So the one that I'm looking at right here, which is the photograph, which is basically on 60, which is obviously it says Crossroads Amazon. So then Wolverine will have part of that signage.
Yeah, Wolverine is listed right under Amazon, and then USAA, which is the holder.
Thank you. That's what happens when you get old. You can't figure all this
Did you blow it
out.
up for him?
He did.
Right.
Because that's what I was looking at, and I'm thinking, okay, because, you know, we had that concern before when we were
Right.
dealing with the Amazon.
Yeah, and this sign is intended for the whole specific plan. So now that, you know, when it was first done, there was the initial building, and then there was no building B yet. And
Right.
so now Amazon's come in, as you guys know, within the last year or so. So now was the time to amend the sign program, and now they can have signage for both the buildings that were approved and entitled for that site. There won't be any additional buildings built out there, because I think we're pretty well at the maximum square footage that was covered. So you'll have Wolverine, you'll have Amazon, and then this signage that accommodates both.
Okay, in the past, you know, we've developed a sign plan like down for where Home Depot is and all of that. We had a sign plan for that facility there. And we've had a sign plan for various areas. Will this actually become a sign plan for this industrial park so that even though we're modifying probably the city sign plan, but this plan will become valid for this industrial area?
Yeah, so attachment A is the sign program for this. We're actually not modifying any citywide standards. We're just addressing signage on this particular site.
Okay.
So when you approve it tonight, there will be the amended sign program that took it from signs just for Wolverine to signs for both the buildings, and that now becomes the guiding document for any signage that takes place out on that site. It will either have to meet what's in there, or it'll have to come back to you guys for modification.
Because we know that down the road, there's 2 other buildings that are gonna go in down there.
And they're in a different specific plan.
Okay.
So you'll get to visit those signs separate for that site at a different
Okay,
time.
that's what I was trying to get to.
Yep.
Can we do it all at one time?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing on 2019-0276 on the sign program for Beaumont Crossroad Logistics Center program. I'm going to open that hearing at 6:25. So those, especially if the builders here, the concerned citizens, please step up. Please give us your name and address, and it's your time to shine.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks, Commissioners. Bruce McDonald, 1140 Coast Highway, Laguna Beach. I represent the owners. I'm the developer. And let me just see if I can answer a couple questions. Maybe they were answered. Commissioner Stevens, you mentioned, are there any county signs? All these signs in the sign package is all on private property. I thought I heard you say trucking, but I didn't know how you were connecting the dots. What was the, come again with the question, I'll try to answer it.
If there's going to be clear signage for the truck traffic to
Yeah.
exit.
Well, so we have what Carol referred to as wayfinding. So the monument signs on the Amazon site direct trucks to go down Fourth and take a right in what's known as Prime Drive, and we're putting a signal there so the trucks do not mix with the employee and visitor traffic at all. And that was our intention, and Amazon's as well. So none of the truck traffic for Amazon will mix with the truck traffic for Wolverine, totally independent. And they travel separately through directional signs on our end along 4th and turn right in, and they go back out the same way. We're installing 3 traffic signals on 4th Street, one at Viallian Distribution, one at Prime Drive, and 4th Street, no, excuse me, one at Viallian 4th, one at Prime Drive and 4th, and one at Distribution and 4th, and all the signals talk to each other, so they're timed accordingly. So hopefully I answered that question. And then, Chairman, you had an expression of not overshadowing Wolverine. When we originally came to, I think, this board and council, the Amazon building's total height is, from the freeway perspective, is no higher than the Wolverine because it sits so far back, and its finished ground floor is about 20 feet lower.
Right.
So that enables the structure not to be overshadowed. In reference to the signs, they certainly aren't overshadowed because they're so far back. And in fact, you will not be able to see the Amazon building signs once Wolverine expands. So I thought I heard someone say that, I think Christina said, that's all for this park. So we have a Wolverine expansion piece that goes from the Wolverine building almost to the monument sign. So at that point, you won't see at all the Amazon building, and thus that's why the monument sign along the freeway is pretty important. So we don't want any overshadowing, and specifically that was a good thought, and the signage won't be, secondary to in any way. Wolverine signs won't. We appreciate the staff's help on all of this. Carol did a great job with the write-up, and we intend to follow religiously the sign program and not deviate. If we deviate, we'll come back to Planning Commission. But we don't see any other signs for the entire park required for the full build-out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments about the signage here for these? And that, I thank you for your comment. I know that when we approved the height requirement for Amazon,
Yes.
that was a concern that we had, was we didn't want the Amazon to overpower Wolverine, and that's, I understand, I know you've done great things about, the building sits down, it sits away. I just didn't want some big sign up there going, oh yeah, here's Amazon, and Wolverine's going, wait a minute, you weren't supposed to overpower us. So obviously you've answered my questions there.
We feel strongly that both tenants have equal rights, and we're very respectful for both of them. That just because it's Amazon doesn't mean that Wolverine is any better. So
Well, Wolverine told me they're worried about you stealing their employees, so I mean, I'm just, that's in jest.
It goes the other way. The Amazon employees will be trained and Wolverine will steal them. No better place to work.
Okay, any other comments reference the signage program for Crossroads Logistics Center? If there are no other comments, at 6:30, I am going to close the public hearing. And at that point, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve for the Plan 2019-0276 amendment to the sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2019-0276.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Chairman Tinker?
Yes. Okay, now, we have a public hearing that's open. It has been open since last month regarding the use of the wireless communications in the city of Beaumont. So, at this point, and I'm going to make sure we know this public hearing is open. So I don't know if I need to reopen it or reemphasize it or whatever I need to do. But anyone that has a comment regarding proposed amendments to table 17-03-3, and it's talking about permitted use in base zone district and additional chapter regarding wireless communications, please feel free to step up to the microphone, give us your name and address, because it's your time here. And we've carried this public hearing open from June. It's still open right now. So please, if you have something or concerns, please let us know about your concerns.
Carol can go ahead and give the staff report update, and then if
Okay,
people want
just
to
wanted-
comment again, we can.
You just wanted to make me forget about that,
No,
didn't you?
no, but give the opportunity for her to give some more information, and if the public decides they want to comment after hearing that, maybe that will.
See, I never get in trouble. I got enough people keeping me in trouble. Okay, Carol, please.
Okay. So just a little bit of history on the wireless discussion. On April 16th of this year, the City Council had a discussion regarding wireless facilities. It mostly focused on right-of-way, but they had directed staff to prepare an ordinance. We did prepare that draft ordinance, and it did come before the Planning Commission on June 25th, and we did open the public hearing. The majority of that discussion was related to wireless towers in residential. And then on July 2nd of this year, we did take a workshop to the City Council. And some of the items that were brought up by the council included the fees for small cell devices, and concern if the city would end up subsidizing projects due to the safe harbor fee, which is $270. There were also concerns raised allowing major facilities in residential or on vacant residential lots. There was a discussion that it might reduce the impact of small equipment in the right-of-way. There were also discussions regarding health concerns related to wireless facilities, aesthetic concerns of major facilities in residential, the city's ability to require more attractive stealth design, requiring wireless providers to justify that a site is warranted, to provide the city with more information regarding our control on permitting small cell devices, and also indicating if small cell devices can provide co-locating opportunities. And also, if we can determine that there's a standard drawing that can be approved to help streamline the process. And I'm going to go into kind of what the presentation that we did on the 25th, just to update the public and the commissioners that weren't at that meeting. So the zoning code currently allows stealth facilities in commercial manufacturing and recreation and conservation zones with a conditional use permit. Non-stealth facilities are currently allowed in commercial zones with a conditional use permit. The draft ordinance is proposing to update the language in the permitted use table from communication facilities to wireless telecommunication facilities. We are also recommending the deletion of cellular communication facilities as it is duplicative, and update the cellular stealth to read as wireless telecommunication facility stealth, and to delete non-stealth from the table, as, you know, we only want to see stealth designs. The permitted use table in the overlay zone currently reads as cellular communication facility stealth. Staff is not proposing any changes to that table. And the new ordinance does address definitions, submittal requirements. Height will rely on the underlying zoning, which, depending on the zone, could be between 35 to 50 feet, which will likely trigger both minor and major variances, as towers are typically taller than 50 feet. Staff can add language to address height exemptions if that's what the Planning Commission and the City Council request. We also include setbacks from residential facilities. And we do address small cell devices in the right-of-way. However, staff is still reviewing information that we're getting from the city attorney, and other staff are reviewing that as well. But in order to allow a small cell device in the right-of-way, they will need a certificate of public convenience and necessity, an administrative plot plan or another appropriate application, and an encroachment permit. Some additional information that was provided to the Planning Commission includes a survey that we did with 12 surrounding jurisdictions on how, if they allow towers in residential, and what their requirements are. We also did include the Wall Street Journal article dated June 29th to 30th of this year regarding the 5G rollout, and also a Press Enterprise article dated July 17th regarding small cell wireless in Redlands. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for staff?
The recommendations, are you at all recommending that the cell towers be allowed in residential?
We are not proposing that they're allowed in residential.
Okay.
I want to speak on that for just a moment, because it also did come up at council and was somewhat of a robust discussion. So it was mentioned here, as we said, staff had recommended carrying through what the current code already has, which is not allowing it residential. The majority of the commission that night concurred, and so that was the recommendation that we took, or the information we took, because we didn't take a recommendation yet to council. So the information we took included that. There was some discussion as to whether or not council was interested in, you know, changing that or going a different direction. There was some discussion on that, but it was still a majority of the council, at least that evening, I guess concurred that we should maintain the direction that the commission recommended. Whether or not that continues on in the next month or two is staff continues to work with city attorney's office and continues to take public comment and refine the ordinance. You know, I don't know, but at this point in time, staff is still maintaining commission's recommendation of not allowing it in residential. So until we receive further direction.
Now, I know we don't own the utility poles within the city, but the street lights, we do, Public Works does maintain those. Is there a joint pole use agreement in place?
Between what agencies?
Between one of these wireless agencies and the city?
So no, and some of the poles are Edison-owned, some of the poles are city-owned, and we do maintain a list of that in Public Works as to which ones are whose, and so of course permission would be granted based on ownership of the poles. We do not have a joint pole agreement. I think they will be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and then Public Works will have the option to, which theoretically we're going to have to permit them if there's a CPUC, you know, necessity letter that's provided, but Public Works will look at it, and then we'll have some sort of, you know, contractor agreement that says if you're going to go on this pole, you know, you have to meet, of course, the ordinance standards or whatever, but there's not a master agreement in place with any of them yet.
Do you know if that brings in any revenue to the city on the uses of any poles that we own?
On city-owned poles, I suppose it could, just like on city-owned property. I'm not sure what that is, because again, when you talk about a major cell site versus the small cells are looked at differently by the FCC. So I don't know if you have more information on that or not.
Right, there's the safe harbor, and I think there was something else, and I think it's like $100.
It's a capped,
Yeah.
it's a very nominal capped sort of, right? Whereas the major cell sites, we have a lot more latitude to negotiate cost and revenue for.
So there is something, but it's minute, and is it like an ongoing or monthly, yearly?
Well, I think that would depend on how the lease is negotiated. So I know with a lot of the major sites, it's a monthly amount that
Right.
the city gets, but whether you get it all up front or at the end of the year or month to month, that just depends on how the contract is negotiated.
Any other comments?
Do I have any comments from the public discussing this? It amazes me because this is, the 5G is the new, whatever you want to call it. And the staff has put in a considerable amount of time trying to make sure that what we can do legally and what we can do aesthetically to handle the 5G. Now, for most of you that you're used to your neighborhoods where you have the cell towers or you see commercially where the cell towers are, this is going to be somewhat different, and feel free to jump in here if I get too far off here. But a lot of this is going to be small antennas, about the size of a notebook, basically, that's going to be attached to power poles, light poles, whatever. And there's a variety of antennas. So now is the time to be thinking about this. We're not done with this by any means. Trust me, we're not done with it. But we have to take a step forward here. We have to become proactive. In discussing this, in our ordinance 17.18.16, we're talking about these facilities are going to be looking at line of sight, whereas compared to a cellular tower, it's more of a broad spectrum out there. There is a design review committee in the city, and they will be looking at the design on these towers, the design on these small, for the better term, a repeater type system. Majority of this will come back for a conditional use permit. We're not just going to allow them to run through the city and just start hanging things all over the place.
So the towers would require the conditional use permit, but we're still determining
Right.
for the small cell device.
There also is a push, and in our ordinance to 17.18.190, to look at, and correct me here, but to look at a lot of this on other facilities, existing facilities. You know, there's a lot of public facilities. Right here, you got this building alone. You got the police department, you got fire department, you got public works, you got city yard. These are facilities that we can come back and say, wait a minute, you need to be looking at putting your stuff here instead of in a residential area. Now, there's going to be some objections because we're not going to let you do it free. It's going to cost you, but it's no different than anything else. When you see a cell tower out here, don't think they're sitting on that ground free. So the planning staff is actually proactive. We've looked at, we just got the information from the city of Redlands. This was an article published by the Wall Street Journal that broke it down pretty much. So the staff and all is looking at this. This is not something that you're going to look up one day and we're just jamming cell towers down your throat. So if you have concerns, I encourage you to please watch what's going on, pay attention in the city. There's going to be meetings between the planning staff and the city council, and this is going to affect you, especially those of you that live in kind of the newer parts of Beaumont. It doesn't affect me. I live on 12th Street. I've been in the same house for 35 years. My area is old. I doubt if anybody knows what 5G is in my neighborhood. And if we get Wi-Fi, we're lucky. But all the new facilities, the new schools, everything are going to be dealing with this 5G. It's coming. We've got to deal with it. So please, I encourage you to be proactive with your planning staff and the commissioner, because it is going to have an effect on you. Any other thing? Can I close the public hearing?
I did want to just state for the record that there is a public comment that was submitted via email, and all three of you have a copy. There's also copies in the back
From Nate?
from Commissioner Smith. I just wanted to put it into the record.
You know, one of the things that the commissioner, who's not here, Nate Smith, he's an engineer, he made some very good comments. One of the things that this commission's been concerned about, and the planning staff, is we're not just gonna allow somebody to come up and stuff an antenna in your neighborhood. We have fought that dog for a long time. We understand, we don't want it to happen. We're not dealing with the RF factors, we're dealing with aesthetics. And we don't think that it's right for you to have a developed neighborhood and some guy just walk in and stuff an antenna in your neighborhood. We have opposed that on quite a few fronts, and we've had good community input from it. So please pay attention, please advise us, please advise the planning staff and the council when you see these things, watch the agendas. This isn't going away. And we're gonna try to do the best we can. Not gonna close this public hearing. Okay, now I'm gonna close the public hearing that was opened on June 25th, 2019 regarding, what the hell am I regarding? Amendment to table 17.03-3 and adding to 17.18 regarding wireless communications technology. Closed hearing is closed at 6:47. Now, we need to have a motion. Like a motion to approve or just whatever you guys want to do.
You're gonna just forward a recommendation to council at this point. That would be either forward a recommendation of approval or
Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
not.
We haven't been told what we're gonna do, but we'll get this straight.
I so move that we forward a recommendation of approval for the changes to the council.
Second?
Okay, I have a first and a second to forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council on Table 17.03-3 and Chapter 17.18 regarding wireless communications facilities.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Chairman Tinker?
Yes. And now I will go to the Community Development Director for her comment.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you for all your hard work, especially on this ordinance. I know we've heard it over and over and over again this year, and we appreciate the recommendation over to council. And just so you know, if anything dramatic changes between now and when we take it to council, we will come back and update you guys with the information that's going to be taken so that you're aware of it, because ultimately the majority of these approvals are going to fall to you guys anyway. It's not going to go to council. So we will keep you apprised of anything. We anticipate probably September sometime going to council if everything keeps moving as it is. We have a meeting tentatively scheduled for August 13th. I anticipate only one meeting in August, and at this time, we may not even have the August 13th meeting. It depends on what items. Oh, I take that back. We continued this one, so we'll be here for the August 13th meeting. You may have one other item to come before you. We've got a couple things that are still finishing up with the wildlife agencies and things like that. So anyway, we will be here for the 13th, but that will be it. I believe council tentatively has a special workshop scheduled for what would be your second meeting in August if we were to need one, so I don't anticipate that we'll have anything that day. Other than that, I don't have any other updates.
Okay, I don't want to beat this up, but I want to encourage you to look at the council agendas and look at the planning commission agendas and become part of what's going on in this community. You know, if we don't get your input, if staff doesn't get your input, then we're kind of running blind. So please, please look and see what's going on in your community. Anything else, commissioners?
Nothing?
Then I'm going to close this meeting at 6:50.